baby. You want to stretch? Oh, such a big stretch. Do you want to be on camera? I started the last video with Pumpkin. So this is Void. He's the little black baby. I like Halloween. Oh my god, he's so cute. He's purring. I wonder if I can get his purring on here. He's so cute. I think he was in another one of my videos, and so is Pumpkin. Daisy's the only one who doesn't come in the basement and check on me. Oh, my microphone's up here. Bye! He's like 1.5 years, and he has so much energy. It's a basement, so there's tiny bugs, like little ants and stuff like that, and he is just going crazy looking for them. They're his friends. You gonna stay right there and stare at me? Okay. So quick little announcement before I get into the actual video. Every Wednesday I'm going to release a new YouTube video. There's not really any theme necessarily. Like I had my Beginner's Guide to Competing series mainly on Instagram that then I started putting on YouTube. There's not really any theme. It's just kind of like if somebody asks for something specific to be covered or if I have an idea that I want to talk about. But regardless, every Wednesday I'm going to be releasing a new episode. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my updates. As part of my Beginner's Guide series, I did talk about reverse dieting, and in that one I went pretty in depth on what my first reverse looked like and my plan to do things different for my current reverse, and I want to dive into that a little bit. So quick backstory, you could just go watch the other one. I do talk about it a lot more, so I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter, this section a little bit shorter on what I'm talking about, on sharing my first reverse again. But essentially with my first one, I had a free week and then tried to get back on plan, ended up after a free week of eating a lot of food, trying to go back to a lower calorie essentially than what I was eating for a full week was really, really, really hard. And I ended up eating way above what a maintenance should be, putting on some weight. And I think I put 16 pounds above stage weight on from March. So the show was March 21st. And I started my cut May 18th, the day after my birthday. So in that 2-month window, less than 2 months, I put on 16 pounds. And then I did a 9-week prep for my July 18th show. And that reverse, putting on as much as I did, made that cut so hard. I had to dig way deeper. What's cool is I figured out that I am capable of that, but I had to dig to a deeper level than I ever had to in the first one. The first one was long, it was 8 months long. This one was 9 weeks, so one was super long and one was super short, but I just had to dig way deeper. So back to the reverse side of things. So with that free week and then eating way above, I was like, I do not want to do that again. I want to get right back to tracking. I want to do a very slow, structured reverse, and I'm filming this Thursday post-show. This is going to be posting on Wednesday of next week though. And so that would be almost 2 full weeks post-show. And if I have anything that I need to add, I'm going to put it right here. If not, you're just going to hear me keep talking. It looks like past me set up future me to be able to tell you guys that some things have changed. So when you see this version of me, this is Tuesday now. This is being posted tomorrow. So about a 1.5 weeks post-show, 10 days, and some things are different than when I filmed, and I'm only gonna pop in 2 more times and explain to you guys what is different and why. But I did not want to refilm it because I think that this is kind of neat that you can see in less than a week why some of the things I was thinking were going to work are now not going to work anymore. But so far, it is already going so much easier. The first reverse was so hard. This reverse, not bad yet. Yet. And I think what helps is Saturday is show day. Sunday, I ate a lot of my regular food. I just didn't track. We needed to go grocery shopping. I didn't have enough food to plan out my full day. And there were also just a couple things I wanted to eat. Like I really wanted to have a blueberry waffle that morning. So I had a blueberry waffle and egg whites. And I think I still had my regular dinner, which I changed it up a little bit now, but I'm still keeping the beef. It's beef, rice, lettuce, and salsa. And now I'm doing sweet potato, beef, lettuce, and barbecue sauce with like a couple pickles in there. So it's like a burger bowl. Um, but I still had my regular dinner, and then I think I honestly didn't even eat that much on Sunday. I just didn't track it. But I didn't like wake up Monday feeling gross. Monday, straight back to tracking. So let's talk about my actual calories and stuff. So for reference, I'm 5'3". This is not me giving you advice on what to do with your macros. It is different for everyone. I am just sharing my personal macros and how I'm explaining my plan on how I am actually reversing myself this time. I no longer have a coach. I am reversing myself and training myself. I have over a decade of knowledge, experience, and failures that I get to now apply to myself. And if it's not going well, my husband will help. And if it's really not going well, I'll get a coach. I'll just hire my same coach back. Um, but I am reversing starting from the Friday before show, starting from those macros, and I added to it. I didn't add a lot. I don't know exactly what the calorie breakdown for all this is off the top of my head. I do think I'm 140 or 150 this week higher than that Friday. Like per day, it's higher. Um, but Friday's macros were 120 protein, 180 carb, and 35 fat. This week, I'm starting with 125 protein, 200 carbs, and 40 fat. Very small jump. The fact that I had a pizza last night, it was our anniversary, that's my one free meal. I'm doing one free meal a week, untracked, one. Everything else I eat has to fit my macros. I am not restricting to one free meal a week. That is an all or nothing way of thinking, and we're not doing that. I am still not letting myself just go absolutely crazy. But last week I had the pizza, like I'm talking about in the video. On Saturday, I had one ice cream with coworkers, and I ate all of my normal meals on top of that. And then Sunday night, I had dinner with coworkers and still ate all my normal meals on top of that. I am going to allow myself to live and have a social life because I haven't really been doing that for the last year, but not just only do one free meal a week. Because having that mentality was starting to feel like I was restricting myself the same way that I was for like that first prep, and I don't want to bring up those same kind of emotions that I had the first time. So there's no limit on free meals. It's just if the social opportunity happens, I'm not necessarily going to say no, but try to limit it to less frequency and definitely not an everyday thing. I'm just going to live my life and try and figure out some balance. But the fact that I had the pizza, that's more or less like a refeed. So I am still probably, I don't know what my maintenance is anymore, but I am still definitely in a calorie deficit. But you don't want to jump to maintenance too high and then put on body fat that is going to be really hard to lose. From personal experience, the body fat you put on while reversing is really hard to lose. But the bump that I gave myself is just enough that I have enough brain power, I have energy, I have, oh my gosh, so much energy. I cleaned my bathroom this week. All right, between us, me and whoever is watching, one fun little thing with prep is you don't have a lot of energy. If you've been through prep, you know that if you're going to be going through a prep, um, you don't have a lot of energy. You pretty much check your boxes and move on. And my bathroom, my master bathroom, the guest bathroom also, but it doesn't really get used. But our bathroom that me and my husband use kind of got a little neglected, I'm not gonna lie. It took me 2 hours to clean it. Yesterday, I think I cleaned it. 2 days ago. I cleaned it 2 days ago. That was one of the things I was so excited to do. Like, I've got this long list of stuff that I'm like, oh my gosh, I have energy again. I can finally start doing some of these things. Like, I love cleaning. I love having a clean space around me. One of the things is the floor down here in the basement because there's like just dead bugs everywhere, and I just want to vacuum them up. But we got to get a new vacuum, and we want to get a new bed, and like, okay. Anyways, we're talking about reverse dieting. I also have ADHD. Um, where was I? I genuinely don't know. I remember. All right, so I was talking about I have energy now, which is why I got distracted sharing all the things I'm ready to do with my energy. Um, so that's why I'm reversing myself this way. So I'm going to be doing my own check-ins. So tomorrow is Friday, and that's still less than 1 week post show. But I'm going to do my own pictures and check my weight, do some measurements, and then we have calipers, so start tracking body fat that way. And I'm going to do my own weekly check-ins. So we have as paramedics, we work 48-hour shifts. So we have 2 days on, 4 days off. So it's a 6-day rotation, like a rotating schedule. So we don't have a normal 7-day period like a 9 to 5 job would, somebody working Monday through Friday. So our life rotates through a 6-day cycle. And the way we structure that is the first 2 days are work days, and then the other 4 days are home days. So each day has a specific thing that we focus on outside of training and normal things. And with that, on our fourth day, my husband and I are both planning on doing check ins. So we're going to be checking in every 6 days instead of just picking a calendar day, because the calendar day might fall on a day that we're at work. So, like, if we did every Sunday or Monday, there might be a day at work and then it gets off by a day. So we're going to check in, we're going to track our changes, and then I plan on keeping my macros at whatever they're at for at least 2 weeks at a time, and then gradually adding back. If I start noticing a decrease in gym performance, energy levels, those kind of things, we'll talk. Him and I will talk, and we'll kind of reevaluate and see if we need to either do a second refeed that week or just bump the calories. But we've kind of got like a pretty solid plan on that.
I am no longer going to be doing the 2 weeks with like one set of macros unless there's a reason. I did my first check in on Friday, like I said I was going to. I did do my first check in, and the pictures were good, things were good. Went to the gym, was working on upper body, could not get a pump. I always get a pump on upper body, and it was so frustrating. And I was like, all right, my carbs are too low. Bumped my carbs by 20, and I got a good pump today, let me tell you. So I was definitely eating too little. All I did was bump my carbs by 20, which is like 80 calories. And then I'm going to keep this set of macros until I do my next check-in, and it'll be on Thursday this week. But literally just going to make adjustments based on how the check-in goes. Not going to restrict it to be like, oh, it has to be the same macro for 2 weeks. If the macros are macroing and there's no need to change them, I'm not going to. But if I need to increase or decrease, that's the point of a check-in. I don't know at the time why I was thinking it needs to stay that way for 2 weeks, but
One of the other things that I do not think helped my first reverse was the fact that I had a free week, one free week, and then the week after was when I was supposed to get back onto tracking. So that one free week was, hey, you were in a cut for 8 months. Give yourself a little bit of a mental break from dieting, the mental break from dieting, which is needed. But what my brain ended up doing after being deprived of dopamine rich foods for so long was saying, hey, you've got 1 week to cram all of this in. Let's go get everything. And I know I talked about that in my other video too, but realizing that now, how urgent everything felt, it was like primal. I really don't know another way to explain it. Everything felt so urgent. It was like my brain had accepted that food had been scarce for so long, and now all of a sudden, for 1 week, food resources are not scarce. And now we need to get all of it. And that's why I didn't like that feeling. I did not like that feeling of not feeling control over my own thoughts. And that was one of the things I identified that I really didn't like, and I'm changing. So if I want fun things, they gotta fit my macros first off, or they have to be my free thing for that week. So we had pizza yesterday. Um, and then next week I don't know what we're doing. That's the thing. Like we might I know one of the things as a date night that I want to do is go to one of those places where you like paint stuff and then go to my gluten-free bakery that's right next to it and then get a cookie or a cupcake or something, and then that'd be my free thing for the week. But I don't feel any sense of urgency like I did last time. And I think the reason why is because I'm not mentally restricting food anymore. It's now all a choice of I can choose to have it when I get it. But I don't want to give myself too much flexibility and freedom and undo all of the work I've done in the last year. If I went back to just completely eating whatever I wanted to, I would gain the 50 pounds back that I lost because that's how I was living. And I think talking about the identity shift post show is also super important because it really is an identity shift. And because your identity has been tied to being in prep and your measure of success has been tied to seeing the scale go down, your clothes are fitting looser, you're getting closer to being show ready. And then for this aspect of it, I still don't really know what I'm going to be measuring for success yet. So when I kind of figure that out, I'll let you guys know. But I'm still in that like identity shift post show. And I started realizing there's certain habits that I've built over the last year that if I stopped doing them, I would go back to how I was living before. And I don't want to do that. I've built this life brick by brick, habit by habit, and I don't want that to change. So there's certain habits that I want to keep. I want to be an athlete even in this improvement season. I want to look like an athlete in this improvement season. I don't want to, for me personally, I don't want to get to 20, 30 pounds above stage weight and then have another miserable prep. I don't know what my set threshold is going to be for like my cutoff. I think it's really going to depend on a lot of factors, and that's one of the things that I'm really excited to get to play with. But that might be a few months from now. Um, but some of the habits that I am excited to keep, I love walking on my walking pad. I love steps. I love walking. It is really good for my brain. It helps me focus. It helps me think. I love it, and I don't want to stop doing it. Obviously, tracking my food. I know I talk about that a lot, but I do think that tracking is important because it is a set of data that you collect, and then you get to see how your body responds to that set of data. Like, for example, before I started working with my coach, I had myself on a really low carb diet. Honestly, my fats were kind of high, and then my proteins were just like whatever they needed to be for my body weight. And when I started working with my coach, she dropped my fats a little bit and upped my carbs. My weight started dropping like crazy. So we actually learned very quickly on my body handles carbs very well. I don't do as well on a high fat diet because I have GERD from trigger warning, having bulimia when I was younger. And so I now have GERD, heartburn, and all that stuff. And eating a higher fat diet actually just made that worse. So physically, I feel better on a lower fat diet and higher carbs with moderate protein to match whatever my body weight is. And that's why I love tracking, because if I just started eating everything, I might not be getting enough protein. And then my lifting that I'm doing, the training I'm doing, it's not, I can push these muscles really hard, but if they don't have the fuel they need to grow, they're still not going to grow to where I want them to. It's like, why put in 50% effort? I don't know what the number is between nutrition and training. I don't know what's more important, what's not more important. I think they're both important. They work together. I do think training is important, but so is nutrition. But why train at 100% intensity if you're going to put in 30% effort in the kitchen? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why not just give them both what you have? And that does not mean being 100% strict all the time with the nutrition side, but it does mean giving 100% effort. And part of 100% effort is allowing yourself some flexibility. That's why I really like the 80-20 diet. I feel like I'm doing something closer to like a 90 or 95, something like that, because I want to eat clean more often than not. I love so many of the foods that I've eaten. I love how they make me feel. I love having more energy, being more emotionally present for people, and just functioning better. So that's why tracking is not something I want to get rid of. Another big one is journaling. For the last, I think I started journaling in October or November of last year. I write in it every single night, no matter what. I think there were 5 nights in that whole time frame that I didn't do. And then when I realized I didn't do it, I just did it the next day. Like, that is a habit I do not want to break. Another one is actually doing a check in every single week. I am going to continue doing a check in every single week, because how do I know if the data that I'm collecting via my weight, the calipers, the pictures, my tracking of food, if I don't have all of the pieces of data, how do I know that I'm actually in an improvement season? The point of an improvement season is to improve, grow your muscles, and then come back better when you prep again. Like, I definitely do not just want to be an athlete that is only a bodybuilder in prep. I feel like I am a bodybuilder in my daily life, and that is part of an identity. And I think the identity shift post show is a little easier when I realized that I am still a bodybuilder and I can continue living like one even though I'm out of prep. And that's why I think this post show is feeling a lot easier than it did last time, because it almost felt like last time, okay, well, the show's over, so now all of these habits can disappear. They don't have to disappear. They don't have to. You don't really have to change anything after prep if you don't want to. I mean, you can take some time for yourself and then go back with a different level of intensity, a different level of urgency than you had in prep. Like in prep, I was doing 17,000 steps. I'm just going to do 10,000. I did the stairs today because I wanted to for 15 minutes. I think I'm going to keep stairs 2 to 3 times a week just to keep my endurance up, to make it easier to lift heavier. And I'm still tracking. I'm just sometimes also choosing a little bit more fun food to fit my macros, as opposed to in prep, I was eating pretty much the same thing for the whole time. So, like, the habits you built to get you to stage don't have to change. You can adjust the mentality behind it and adjust the intensity, but the overall habits don't actually have to change unless you need them to for some reason. But this reverse is already going better. If you watch this far and you have done a reverse before. Leave comments below. Let me know if you experienced any of the things I talked about. If you are prepping for a show, congratulations, you're going to do amazing. Um, Definitely take some of these things I said into consideration. Again, I'm only one person, this is my lived experience, but these are some things that I've noticed that have helped me so far this time make it a little bit easier. Or if you're just coming out of a calorie deficit and you're reversing, hopefully some of these things I said help. But yeah, stay tuned. I'm going to have new episodes on Wednesdays, and this will be the first Wednesday episode. Thank you for being here, and don't forget, you were built to rise.